Hi everybody, video today, which is a gear video. I purchased about a year ago this Drake FG 7, this Drake FG 7, and a year into it, actually a little more than a year into it, I figured I would do a video that would kind of tell you how I'm feeling about this mouthpiece. And I actually was spurred on by a comment made by someone, Clay Pufal 6074. Anyway, he had asked me, hey, how's the Drake a year into it? So I'm about a year and 2 months into the Drake, and so I have some clips of me playing some different styles. They're coming up next, and then I'll come back with some final thoughts. All right, final thoughts on the Drake FG. I love it. It's absolutely the best mouthpiece I've ever played. It does everything that I want a mouthpiece to do. So I've had a lot of mouthpieces over the years, a lot of mouthpieces. Spent a lot of money on mouthpieces. And I'm always kind of in search of, the holy grail, like everybody is. I mean, the gear acquisition syndrome thing. But when I played this FG, Carl Cox's FG, Carl Cox, C-O-X, Carl Cox, unbelievable saxophone player. He's a friend of mine, and he let me play his FG. And immediately I was like, wow, this is the mouthpiece. This is it. And so I got some money together, sold some equipment, and purchased the FG. As I was saying, I've had a lot of mouthpieces over the years that did a lot of the things that the FG does, but I've never had a mouthpiece that does everything that the FG does. Like, for example, I've had mouthpieces that have been great on that subtone, darker, like traditional jazz sound. I've had great mouthpieces that have been, or I've had mouthpieces that have been great at like the rock thing, like the, smooth jazz, real bright sound. But I've never had a mouthpiece that was able to do both. This one does. This Drake FG does both things. So a little bit of the specs. This is a 7 tip opening, which means it's a 100. Historically, well, within the last 8 or 9 years or so, I've been playing a 7-star, which is a 105. But when I played Carl's FG, I was like, wow, this response is immediate, like in every register. So I didn't want to mess with it. I just said, get me your specs. And so when I contacted Aaron Drake, I said, yeah, build me a mouthpiece, an FG exactly like Carl's. So he did. So the FG on his website, it says it features a, a long rollover baffle. So there's that right there. I don't know if you can see it, which it says gradually goes into a medium chamber. So this is a medium chamber mouthpiece. Long rollover baffle. I don't know what any of that means. All I know is that the response and the articulation on it is fantastic. And I can do every style that I need to do. So short little story about Aaron Drake. I never met Aaron personally, but I did see him in person. And I saw him in person when he was in high school. He was a high school senior, and he was the lead alto player in the All-State Jazz Band in New Jersey, which is where I am. And so my dad was a teacher, and the All-State Jazz Band always performed at the Teachers Convention in Atlantic City in November of every year. So I went to go hear the All-State Jazz Band, and my dad took me. And I was a middle schooler, I think, 6th, 7th grade, something like that. But the lead alto player was Aaron Drake. And I remembered his name because he was so great player. And it was so, made such an impression on me because I'd never heard another student, like a high school level student, play that level before. And he was a brilliant player. It was so impactful to me, much in the same way when I talked about Joel Fromm and Brad Meldow, which was a little bit later in my age in high school, but this was in middle school. I remembered that Aaron played a Beechler hard rubber mouthpiece, and I knew I found out it was a Beechler because when I looked at it, it had like on the tooth guard, Beechlers have a diamond in there, like a white diamond shape on the tooth guard. And so like I knew it was a Beechler. And at that point I became infatuated. Like I need to get that mouthpiece because I want to sound like Aaron. Because Aaron's just an amazing player, and he still is, but an amazing mouthpiece maker. So what are my final impressions of this FG? It's the best mouthpiece I've ever played. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I'm going to recommend it. Is it for everybody? Well, I don't know. Everybody's different. Everybody's anatomy is different. So everything's going to sound different for everybody. At the end of the day, though, the ease of playing in this mouthpiece is singular. Like, I have not played a mouthpiece that has this type of free blowing thing where I can get all of the different timbre that I want as well. Dark, bright, in between, whatever I want to do, I can do on this mouthpiece. So for me, it's like, it's the best thing I've ever used before. Now, the only issue that I have with it, and this is like a minor thing, I'm still in the throes of ligature issues because this Drake is just a tiny bit thinner than, say, a Meyer or Otto Link hard rubber or Jody Jazz hard rubber. It's just a little bit thinner. So tenor mouthpieces for those, or tenor ligatures that will fit Links and Meyers will fit this, but you have to put them further down in the profile here, which is a little weird. So I purchased this Van Doren Optimum that I use, this silver one, and I have a whole video on ligatures, but I purchased this. It's an alto clarinet one because I thought that would fit, and it does. It fits pretty well. I still have to put it down a little bit further than I'm used to. The Drake mouthpiece comes with it's a fantastic ligature. It's a double rail ring ligature, which is amazing, and it actually sounds the best. But with ring ligatures, most people understand the problem of if you have to go manipulate the mouthpiece every once in a while, the ring ligature, if it's not pushed down enough, might move. So, again, it sounds the best. It's designed for the mouthpiece and sounds the best. Oh, and the other curious thing with this mouthpiece I found, and this is just for me, but maybe for some other people too, but Carl told me, because I was dealing with reeds in the beginning too, I was always a Van Doren player. And for a long time, I was playing the Van Doren Red box, the Java Reds, in 3, a 3 strength. And so when I was playing them, I was like, okay, this feels good. In the beginning stages, it felt great. But Carl told me, he said, yeah, you know what? Actually, the Dario products used to be Rico, whatever. They actually work really well on Drake mouthpieces. Who would know? So now for the last year or so, since I've had the Drake, I've been playing the Dario Jazz Select 3 soft, and almost every reed works right out of the box. Now, is that because the reeds are so great? Maybe they're great, but I just feel like it's just a great match with the mouthpiece. So I think the Dario products work really well on the Drakes. Carl Cox is actually a Ligature endorser, and he sounds phenomenal on those Ligature reeds. They never worked for me, but these Drake mouthpieces are just great. I highly recommend this FG. I've never played any other Drake mouthpieces, but I can only imagine if the craftsmanship is as good as the FG, which I'm sure it is, they're all fantastic. So there you go. There's my year in review of the Drake FG. It's been a good year. I've been able to do things on the horn that I've probably never been able to do before because of this mouthpiece, because of the freedom that the mouthpiece gives me. So there you go. Drake FG.